This is the AMDM, your quick morning podcast full of Memphis news. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Today is Wednesday, July 22nd. Memphis Mayor Paul Young pitched ideas yesterday on how the city could spend more than $3 million in SpaceX AI tax revenue. That's 1/4 of the $12 million the company has paid in taxes in 2025, and it's been earmarked for community benefits to SpaceX AI's neighbors. Among the ideas were a home repair program, demolition of vacant properties, and neighborhood cleanups. The Memphis City Council still has to approve the plan, and at least one council member wants to see some of the money spent on health care. The Memphis Grizzlies took NBA Summer League seriously this year, and that drove them all the way to the championship game. Though they lost to the Golden State Warriors, fans got a good hard look at rookie Cameron Boozer and second-year guard Cedric Howard. Our own Drew Hill says Boozer looked exactly as advertised before the NBA draft. He played well, but in a no-frills style Grizz fans may not be used to. As for Howard, he seemed to finally be back on track after a lackluster rookie season. An Arlington child care center is growing out. The owners of Kiddie Academy on Airline Road are planning 2 new playgrounds in a new 5,000 square foot building that will connect to its existing space. Kiddie Academy goes beyond traditional daycare service to offer educational programs for kids ages 6 weeks to 5 years old. Local tech education nonprofit Code Crew has received a $1 million grant from artificial intelligence research company Anthropic. The investment will help fund Code Crew's new national headquarters at Northside Square, an expansion that will allow the nonprofit to triple its instructional capacity. The $1 million gift towards Code Crew's more than $7 million headquarters project will help anchor the move to a 12,000 square foot space in North Memphis. The investment goes beyond physical construction. Anthropic is also providing Code Crew students with licenses for its Claude AI model and direct access to its engineers to keep the curriculum aligned with industry standards. The Public Safety Institute at the University of Memphis has launched a strategic plan. The plan outlines a framework designed to strengthen the region's response to domestic violence. The plan aims to reduce domestic violence crimes in Shelby County through collaboration between city and county officials, community advocates, and healthcare experts. To reduce gaps in victim support, the Public Safety Institute spent a year identifying 8 strategies, with a grant from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs to create a coordinated community response to domestic violence offenses. The Germantown Greenway has a major upgrade coming its way, which is good news for local runners, walkers, and cyclists. Germantown's Board of Mayor and Aldermen recently approved a construction contract to replace a closed section of trail near the Greenway's Beaver Loop area with a new 10-foot wide asphalt trail and improved shoulders. The previous boardwalk was removed in 2024 due to structural deterioration. Since then, trail users have relied on a temporary detour through the woods. Construction details and a timeline for the project are expected to be shared soon. And now it's time for a look at one of the week's biggest stories with Mary Cacciola. But stay with us after that for more of the day's news.
The state takeover of Memphis Shelby County schools has garnered a lot of attention over the past 2 years. But due to a new state law this year, the state is also taking over a few other boards, namely the boards of Chattanooga Metropolitan Airport, Memphis International Airport, McGhee Tyson Airport in Knoxville, and Nashville International Airport. Before the law, the Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority was made up of 7 commissioners, 5 nominated by the Memphis mayor and 2 by the Shelby County mayor, and all were approved by the Memphis City Council. Now, the board has 9 members. 2 would be appointed by the Speaker of the State House of Representatives, 2 by the Speaker of the State Senate, 2 by the Governor, and 3 by the Executive Officer in the city where the airport is located. I'm Mary Cacciola. Today we're joined by Steve Bunnell to talk us through the latest with these new boards. Steve, thanks for being here.
Glad to be back.
Okay, so remind us what's going on here and why the state decided to reconfigure these airport boards.
That depends who you ask. The people who kind of sponsored the changes to the state law here say, we contribute millions of dollars to operate these airports. We think that we should have more of a say who sits on the boards that kind of have oversight power over these facilities. But the Democrats have viewed it like with other issues across the state and here in Memphis that this is a power grab. Right. Everything was fine. You just kind of have more influence because you can. And there's not really a problem to fix here. You just want more power. So that's really at the state level what the debate looks like.
Okay. It sort of reminds me of the debate about utilities like Memphis Light, Gas, and Water when they added the suburban non-voting members and then they added the suburban voting members, like just power, representation. Yeah. Okay, so when this law was approved, how did the Memphis board take it? I know when we look at the schools, the school board was like, we're suing. How did our airport board take it?
I hate to put this bluntly, they really didn't care. I mean, Chair Mike Keeney has told me multiple times that the CEO of the airport, Terry Blue, and his staff, like the daily operations that they kind of see at the airport is in many ways more important than the board that meets. Yeah, they have to oversee hundreds of millions of dollars and make sure everything's going well, especially with all the construction there. But it's more important that you have a good staff in place. And that's not just, I caught up with Pace Cooper, who's been chair for many years and served on the board for more of a decade. Said very much the same thing. We're happy to serve. It's a volunteer role. We've learned a lot. We bring our perspectives, and I'm sitting through these meetings since January, like they have a good chemistry, to put it bluntly, of all the boards I've covered in my career. Like they ask good questions, but they know the issues, and I frankly haven't seen anything controversial come up.
Okay, so our board was pretty much like, okay, this is how it is. I gather the Nashville Airport board felt differently.
Yes. They're the ones, their council and the airport board that was before this new law sued. Basically, they pointed to this 2024 law involving the FAA saying that there's a provision in there that, hey, local control with who gets to be on these seats. And because the FAA is involved, they also asked for an injunction, but that brought in the DC Court of Appeals. So there's kind of two linear tracks here. Okay. That it's a mess.
It sort of sounds like it.
The other thing that makes this a mess is that the old board refuses to sit down. So there's two boards that are meeting right now as thousands of flights take off from Nashville that are like, we both have say over, the issues over the airport. But the FAA has kind of stepped in and said, until this litigation is kind of solved, we don't recognize either board really officially. Goodness. So yeah, it's a mess over there, like hundreds of miles to the east. Here, it's kind of whatever. But, as we'll talk about later, like this is going to, whatever happens with the state law impacts all the boards. Right. So that's why this pertains to us, that it's not just a local law, it's a statewide law.
So in Nashville, you have two boards meeting. Here, I don't think we have, like, the old Memphis board canceled a meeting and the new Memphis board hasn't met yet.
The spokesperson said that they didn't really have any action items and that they've said in past years, if there's nothing that kind of bubbles to the surface where they need to meet, that was kind of the explanation I was given. So that's why they didn't meet this month. But the next scheduled meeting is August 20th. And when I talked to Mike Keeney about this recently and asked him, do you hope this is resolved? He's just like, yes. Right. With the legal stuff. Like, I hope that this is all settled and we know what border is going to exist for ourselves. So.
Well, and in our case, we'll talk about who the people who have been appointed are. But in our case, there is some overlap. So if both the boards were meeting, our representatives are going to have to meet twice, essentially.
Yeah, I think in Nashville, it's more of a different body on both boards. So that's what's making this a little bit more interesting. Because obviously, if you sue, I don't think like any of the members on the old board would be like, yeah, we'll continue to sit on the state board, or like they'll begrudgingly doing it, but they're a protest vote at that point, I imagine. Right. So
let's talk about who are the people who have been appointed to the Memphis, the new International Airport Authority Board.
Yes. So there's 5 members that have sat on it for a while. Jack Salmons, Mike Keeney, Albert Glenn, Belinda Anderson, and Pamela Clary. The 4 new members are Dave McKinney, DeMar Roberts, Rhea Skip Taylor, and Craig Weiss. So those 5 members they have decades of experience.
Right. They've been there for a long time.
It's long before I got here in January. So
long before maybe I got here. I don't know.
Yeah. And the 4 new members, you can look them all up. They're pretty well known in the community, pretty high up in the public or private sector.
Right.
So it's not like these are unknown entities or someone like, why did you pick them? Like they all had pretty long, extensive resumes.
Right.
So
this also reminds me of the Memphis Shelby County Schools takeover board to a certain extent, because the people appointed to the new board were also, as I keep calling them, they're not randos. Like they're people the community does know. Okay, so we've got Jack Sammons, we've got Mike Keeney, we've got Albert Glenn, we've got Belinda Anderson, we've got Pamela Clary. They're all coming back on the new board.
Given the state law is upheld.
Yes. Should the state law be upheld? If it's not, they'll come back on the old board.
Yeah. That they have terms to serve out. So they got to serve them out. A lot of moving parts here.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty nuts. I get the sense talking to the multiple members, like they didn't ask for this, but they're like, well, it's a wait and see mode. We'll see what happens.
They're just rolling with the punches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So what do we think that this means for the airport, or what could it mean once, like, obviously right now, the 2 boards are so similar. The new boards, should they be upheld, the state does sort of have a 6-3 advantage over the local nominees, because 6 are appointed by state people and only 3 are appointed by the Memphis mayor at this point.
Yeah, and approved or confirmed by the city council here. To answer your question, I don't see the material differences unless there's like huge policy changes within the construction that's going on there, within any of the overall maintenance that goes on there. When I talked to Craig Weiss, one of the new members, he literally said to me, I'm not coming in here to shake things up.
Right.
So if you take him at his word there, which I do, like these people are just, it's a good opportunity to serve. I have time. I think he said a few of my nonprofit obligations were kind of rolling off. So he's got more time to serve in other ways. So until, we see how the kind of new members interact with the old members. And frankly, when I talked to Mayor Taylor out of Fayette County, he's like, we might not even make that many different decisions that the old board made. So it's really just a wait and see. And again, if we really get in the weeds there, I mean, the 5 out of 9 members, like they do have a majority. I'm not saying that they're going to be combative, but if we're going to get into the kind of the numbers here, we can look at it right there and say, well, they still have, the majority vote. Yeah.
I guess you'll be continuing to cover all of this excitement.
The next couple of weeks, I am interested in how this plays out with the FAA law, because I think this 2024 law, it's the first time it's been contested in court. And in my warped brain, I like precedent and how things kind of like happen. I know that might sound weird to some people, but that to me is an interesting part of the story. Is like, if it's upheld, the precedent that sets, or if it's kind of struck down, then the state house, like, well, damn, this is one example of a state law that we're trying to change that we can't do.
Steve, thanks for being here.
Of course.
And now, more news.
The Family Empowerment Initiative recently launched as a program intended to increase services for families after experiencing a behavioral or mental health crisis. Noah McLean says the state partnered with Memphis-based nonprofit Youth Villages, which will provide at-home care during the 90-day program.
The program, which officially began July 1st, features a team of counselors who meet with families in their homes once a week for 90 days, serving as a bridge between emergency intervention and long-term recovery. In order to qualify for the Family Empowerment Initiative, families who have recently experienced a mental health crisis must have at least one child 18 years old or younger and must be eligible for the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, meaning they receive assistance from the state through programs like Medicaid, EBT, low-income housing, free and reduced lunch, or live under the federal poverty limit. A referral from emergency rooms, psychiatric hospitals, or a mobile crisis provider is also needed. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Noah McLean.
That's the AMDM for this Wednesday, July 22nd. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Find links to all of the stories mentioned in this episode in the podcast description. Listen and subscribe to this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or on the Daily Memphians website. You can also hear us on WYXR 91.7, where our local news stories air every weekday throughout the day. And don't forget to subscribe to our other weekly podcasts hosted by your favorite reporters, including Soundbites with Holly Whitfield, The Sidebar with Eric Barnes, and the Daily Memphian Grizzlies podcast with Drew Hill and Chris Harrington. You can also sign up for our breaking news alerts and our mini weekly newsletters we offer, like the early word that you heard at the top of this podcast, by visiting dailymemphian.com/email. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to start your day here again tomorrow.